Welcome to Bread and Butter, the show looking behind the scenes of the hospitality business. I'm Wendy Hargreaves, and this show is brought to you by HungryHungry, the Aussie tech company helping hospo thrive. Today, we're celebrating the first day of freedom. As of midnight last night, we can sit down and dine in Melbourne for the first time in 112 days. And from midnight on Sunday, November 8, if COVID cases stay under control, Melburnians will be allowed to visit regional Victoria, which brings us here. Today, we're coming to you live from Ballarat, Australia's fastest growing regional city, and we'll be giving Melburnians a little sneak preview of life on the other side of Dan Andrews' Iron Curtain. This beautiful venue is Lola, the award-winning restaurant at the Provincial Hotel in downtown Ballarat. We'll hear more from one of the owners, Georgie Coughlin, later in the show. We'll also hear about how the pandemic transformed a small town cafe into a thriving general store, post office, and a cidery thrown in for good measure. And we'll be joined by one of Australia's best makers of charcuterie, the chef turned butcher Mick Nunn, who runs Salt Kitchen Charcuterie right here in Ballarat. But first, let's look at some of this week's news thanks to HungryHungry. Restaurants, cafes, pubs and bars are being swamped by bookings as we speak, with limited numbers available for table bookings in Melbourne for the first time in 112 days. There are reports of some venues booking out for weeks in advance. But new research shows most Victorians are worried about dining out. The research released yesterday by US data company 7 Rooms shows 73% of Victorians have concerns about eating out or going out for a drink. 1 in 5 Victorians have absolutely no concerns about dining out, and that would be me, while 1 in 10 say they'll only use it for takeaway or delivery services until a vaccine is found. But on the plus side, this research also found that almost half of the respondents said dining out would help them feel normal again, and I can definitely relate to that. Meanwhile, Melbourne restaurants are busy finding new outdoor spaces for tables and chairs, with 50 diners allowed outside each venue and 20 diners inside, with a maximum of 10 per space. Car spaces and public parks, laneways and driveways are among the outdoor areas being claimed by restaurants, cafes and bars. There are even reports of really quite amazing spaces in public gardens that are being looked at as dining spaces. But there are also reports of council delays, despite a move by Planning Minister Richard Wynne to remove planning permits. It seems local government bylaws and resident consultation will throw a bureaucratic spanner in many of the outdoor dining plans. We'll keep an eye on that progress as venues gear up for Melbourne Cup Week, minus the crowds at Flemington. In more good news, the world's first privately funded cheese school launched this week in Castlemaine, an hour's drive north of us here in Ballarat. Dubbed the University of Cheese, the school will teach both professionals and those of us who just love cheese, taking its first students early next year. The school is the brainchild of artisan cheese campaigner Alison Lansley and 2 of Australia's best cheesemakers, Carla Mears and Anne-Marie Monda from Holy Goat at Sutton Grange. This power trio has lured French cheesemaker Ivan Larcher, a man known in international dairy circles as the Cheese Whisperer. Larcher has sold his farm in France and moved to Harcourt to set up the school. Now, it's my absolute pleasure to welcome one of Australia's best-known country hoteliers, who also happens to be a primetime TV star. She's the co-host of the project on Network 10, and she's also the owner of this beautiful event in Ballarat, the Provincial Hotel. I'm talking about Georgie Coughlin, and I welcome you to the show, Georgie.
Oh, welcome, Wendy. It's so lovely to have you and your crew here. Actually experiencing, we've got real live customers here. It feels like a whole new world.
It really does. And look, I have to tell you, this is something that Melburnians will relate to. A coffee brewed and served in a cup.
In a real cup.
In a real cup.
Ceramic.
It's amazing. This is the best thing. And I think Melburnians everywhere this morning will be rejoicing at being able to get out again.
Absolutely, Wendy. And it's quite emotional. Typically, you're finding it emotional. I think as a Melburnian, I'm seeing lots of emotion from you coming down here. And I was listening to the radio this morning. It's really overwhelming, emotional. It's like stepping out baby steps into this brand new sort of think tank, because we're not used to it. You're not used to seeing anyone. You're not used to being outside of your homes, and suddenly you can have the coffee here. You can order the eggs out on the pavement and sit there in peace. And I think there's this lovely feeling of mindfulness and really enjoying those precious, tiny, simple little things that we all took for granted before COVID.
That's very true. Now, you've had a foot in both camps, commuting to Melbourne for the project and running a business here in Ballarat. Like, it's actually giving you a view of the industry that not many of us have.
Absolutely.
So how do you think Melbourne is going to go now that we've got this freedom all of a sudden? Because it's happened very quickly.
Look, it's not going to be easy. I'm not going to lie. I mean, 10 people inside is tough to try and maintain your business. So I think there's going to be this initial excitement, a little bit of exhaustion, particularly for Melbourne retailers and Melbourne hospitality operators, because they was told 48 hours ago. So I put my hat on and thought, gosh, they're staffing, they're stocking, they're planning menus, they're doing all of that in a really short amount of time. And I noticed some are putting on their Insta pages that they're not necessarily opening till Friday, they're taking a bit longer. Others opened at midnight last night at the steakhouse. They're like, we're just going straight into it at midnight and want to serve customers as soon as we can. So my only advice would be, do what works for you. Take your time, talk to your staff. Don't run yourself ragged, because COVID's already been pretty exhausting as it is. So, don't feel like you need to be all things to all people. For example, here we used to do 7 days a week, breakfast, lunch and dinner. We decided, let's do a beautiful lunch and let's do dinner Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday night, 4 nights a week. There's no way we were interested in going back to 7 days because of our staff, because of trying to do too much too soon. So we just say to people now, no, we don't do breakfast at the moment, but you're welcome to join us for lunch. And people are really understanding after COVID. There's a very different filter now. The thing that the hospitality industry will be able to, I think, take advantage of is there's less entitlement from customers. There's less entitlement in life because we've just been stripped back. So if you do get someone that comes in that's a little bit, lacks a bit of understanding, Wendy, for what your staff have gone through, we feel very comfortable saying, this is post-COVID, so if this is what we have to offer, but if that doesn't work, there may be other menus around. Like, you just don't have to take that attitude, which we're very lucky hasn't really happened here. But, 1 or 2 examples over the past couple of months where we think, okay, we don't really need to go down that path anymore. So maybe that's a lovely ownership that hospitality can have, is a bit like teachers. There's a little bit more of respect of, I'm not going to take you for granted as my local cafe anymore.
Well, that's a really good point. Now, speaking of not being taken for granted, have you been positively slammed by Melburnians now wanting to get out for a cheeky little weekend away?
We have. Our website crashed on Monday 3:30 after the Premier made his announcement. The website just absolutely crashed, and I had friends saying, it's good that it's crashed, but it's crashed. So we bumped up our capacity to take traffic. Kelsey, our wonderful accommodation manager, has been flat out on the phones. So that's been really lovely to see all the bookings starting to fill up. But we'd love as many people as possible to come to Ballarat, this whole town, all these local businesses. You need a break and we need the business.
Yeah, well, it is a really beautiful boutique hotel with the restaurant here as well. And I was very, very lucky to stay here last night in a bed other than my own for the first time in 2020. So it was quite a surreal experience, to be honest. But what do people need to do to actually get in here? Because I imagine the weekends have really booked up. Should people consider perhaps coming up midweek?
Well, midweek's a great getaway, and now because so many of people are not working in the office, you can work wherever you want, really. We've shown that workplaces can survive with remote work offices. So grab the laptop, put the playlist on, bolt down the highway, enjoy that beautiful, everything looks so lush and green at the moment. Put that playlist on and come and see us. Come and stay for 3 nights midweek. We can fill out your itinerary. We had a bunch of girls that are staying on Thursday night. Coming up in a couple of weeks, they're a mother's club, and they're just getting out of Melbourne. And they just said, we don't care. We're not going to do a weekend. We want to do a Thursday night. And I think that's really important, Wendy. For some people, will be very anxious, and some people will be anxious. So we are a boutique. It's only 23 rooms, so you're not going to come here and, as you know, get swarmed. So if you're feeling a little bit overwhelmed with stepping out of lockdown, Ballarat's a really nice way to start doing it, because Melbourne will be quite busy for a while. Do you think Ballarat people will be as welcoming? Like, we've heard of people in New South Wales and Queensland paint bombing Victorian cars when they see the number plate. Like, there's a lot of fear out there. Like, how do you think Ballarat locals will feel about tourists coming back to town? I think Ballarat locals have a lot of empathy for what Melburnians have been through. And I think, we all believe obviously in being a nation, but no one can take away what Victorians have gone through, what Melburnians have gone through. That is, even I can't understand what you've gone through. I have some empathy, but I can't understand what you've gone through. The meltdown, the harshest in the world, not just the country. So I think there's a lot of empathy, there's a lot of compassion. So I think what you'll get in Ballarat is people giving you the little glint in your eye with your mask on, the big smile underneath the mask that you can't see of welcome to our city, because we want our city to thrive. And as long as people are being safe and responsible, we really want everyone here.
So how do people find you if they want to book a sneaky room in here at the Provincial Hotel?
The provincialballarat.com.au. This is Lola Restaurant, and of course we're on Instagram at the Provincial Ballarat and at Lola Ballarat. We would love to see you, or give us a call 5331 3399.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for coming on the show.
Wendy.
And thank you for hosting us.
No freebies in rooms here. It's all paid for and legit.
Thanks, Georgie. It's been a pleasure talking to you. That was Georgie Coughlin, who with her husband Simon runs the Provincial Hotel here in Ballarat. My next guest is a great example of small town hospitality and ingenuity during a pandemic. She's morphed her cafe into a local general store and a post office and a cellar door. I'm talking about Belinda Brooksby from Cafe Sidra in Learmonth, a gorgeous little town 20 kilometres northwest of us here in Ballarat. Now, Belinda, I'm so excited that you're able to come here today. Like this whole concept of speaking to someone face to face on my show is just the best thing since sliced bread for me, I have to say. It's been a long time. I've been doing video calls with all of my interviews. So fabulous to see you in person. Thank you for joining me here on Bread and Butter. Now, tell us a little bit about Cafe Sidra.
So Cafe Sidra is a beautiful little destination, a beautiful building, gorgeous outdoor area that was once a cafe and a salad door, small, where we cater for a lot of weddings, events and functions. It's run by my husband and I and our beautiful staff. So we've been there for 3 years.
Now, you've had a good time setting up your business and building it and getting an amazing reputation in central Victoria and through the Pyrenees as a great destination for a little town that possibly didn't have a destination in the past. So what happened? Like, you were on a roll and then the pandemic hit. How did it impact you guys?
We were on a roll. We'd actually just said the week before, my husband and I, we've actually made it. We've got everything sorted. We know exactly what we're doing. Our staff are trained. We're booked out on Sundays. Lots of weddings planned. And then, everything changed pretty much overnight, like everyone else, and we didn't know what to do. So we had all this amazing food that we'd order for weddings and alcohol and cider, and we just thought, we've just got to keep going.
Yeah.
And then, so we did. We kept going. We did a lot of just home-style delivery meals. I didn't want to waste anything, so we wanted to just use everything we had and just keep going. So we didn't stop for one day, and that was it, really.
And how did you become a post office?
But then we got a phone call from Australia Post to say the local post office in town was closing down, and if we'd like to take it on. And we said, no way. It's never, we'd never ever thought about becoming a post office. And then they called back and said, if it leaves town and it won't come back. So we've taken it on as a community post office. So we're not the full, passports or paying bills. It's just a community post office to keep it in town. And out went the tables and chairs, and in came the pigeonholes, and so
it's quite a huge switch. And you've also become quite the general store as well for the all the local producers to come together.
Amazing. And everything that we sort of stock is what we used in the cafe. So that was quite easy. All our suppliers we used, but then it was again get rid of more tables, bring in the fridges and the deli fridge, and
and it's been popular.
It has, and it's been great as a little community hub too. We got to meet locals that we wouldn't have met before. That it was more of the destination centre of it. Now it's the general store, post office. We've met so many people that we didn't know, and it's become quite a little hub.
So Melburnians are now planning their trip up here into the Goldfields region. So will you be opening soon?
We sure are. Next week we're hoping to open. We've got a beautiful outdoor area that's huge and lots of beautiful gardens to sit in and lots of space. So we'd love to see everyone and enjoy our local produce.
Fantastic. How long does it take to get to Learmonth from Melbourne?
From Melbourne, it's on the highway, about an hour and a half. Yeah.
Okay, so a good day trip.
Yep, good day trip.
Now, Georgie touched on positive things that have come out of COVID, like just setting, I suppose, new boundaries in your business on what's okay and what's not. Can you see many changes at Cafe Sidra in the post-COVID world?
Yeah, absolutely. We were keeping the post office, and so that's that's quite a big job itself. But we won't be so much doing the long, slow breakfast anymore. It'll be more general store, post office in the mornings, and then come and enjoy local, beautiful food, gorgeous cider, and live music. We're going to get some now live music again. So
Live music.
I know, exactly. Sitting out the back, live music, and so we want to keep the general store and post office for the community, and then the rest will be more afternoon.
Would you ever have imagined when you bought that little cafe in a little country town that you'd end up actually running the town?
I don't know if we're running the town, but we're enjoying it, and it is a beautiful hub, and we've had so much support, which has been incredible, from Ballarat, Limont, all the local areas.
So what's the best way to find you for people in Melbourne that want more information?
On either social media, Cafe Sidra, or our website, or phone ahead. So we're sort of putting things in place for bookings, and it's all new again. So we were taking bookings. So.
Well, I can't wait to come out there and check it out myself. Thanks so much for coming on the show, Belinda.
Thank you, Wendy.
And best of luck.
Thank you.
Now, that was Belinda Brooksby from Cafe Sidra in Learmonth. When Melburnians are allowed to travel again from November 8, make sure Cafe Sidra is one of your day's trip destinations. It's one of the beautiful things about the Ballarat region is the cafes and restaurants that are really looking out for the local producers. And there are a huge number of food growers and producers in and around this city, giving restaurants and cafes plenty of inspiration for their menus, including right here at Lola, where I hope to have lunch today. Now, one of Ballarat's biggest success stories in the food production zone is Salt Kitchen Charcuterie, run by chef turned butcher Mick Nunn, who joins me now. Hello, Mick.
Hi, Wendy. How you going?
It's been a while.
Yes, it's been a while. Yeah.
No, it's fantastic. Thanks so much for coming to join us
Pleasure.
today, because I know you're extremely busy now that Melbourne's hospitality scene's back in action again. All of a sudden, everyone wants your charcuterie.
We are, and it's, we're excited, obviously, to get our product down to restaurants that we've been associated with for such a long time and have been through such a tough 6 months. And it's fantastic that this week see some product leave our doors and make its way down the highway.
Fantastic. Now tell us, for those who don't know Mick, tell us, how did you go from being a chef to a charcuterie guru?
Yeah, I suppose I've told this story a number of times. I think chefs, explore a lot of things throughout their career, and you sort of arrive at something that is your passion. And for me, it was charcuterie. It was always that moment where I got to cut a terrine in half or a salami that I've been waiting for 3 months or something like that. That was the most enjoyable part of my job. And I went about the long process of trying to set up Salt Kitchen Charcuterie here in Ballarat. And obviously being a local boy, grown here, born and bred Ballarat boy, I've got a passion for the region and for the produce that's around the region as well.
Fantastic. So when did you set it up?
2014.
2014.
Yeah.
So it's honestly, I have to tell anyone who hasn't tried the Salt Kitchen hams and salamis and charcuterie, it's next level. I can honestly say it's my favourite, my personal favourite. So you've done amazing things, and you obviously stopped in a lot of top restaurants around town. But in COVID pressure, you were forced also to go retail. So what's that been like?
Yeah, we had to change the goalposts. I mean, in March, the industry got flipped on its head, and in turn we did as well. I set Salt Kitchen Charcuterie up as a former chef with the aim to supply restaurants. I wanted to be a supplier to some of the best restaurants in Victoria, and then eventually Australia was my aim, and we were getting there. And then COVID comes in. It's not feasible for a restaurant to take an entire capicola or a side of pancetta, a whole ham. So you stand there and you think, well, we need to change what we do, how we offer our product. So we had to expand our retail range and turn most of our products into something that was more accessible to the end consumer.
Which is great news for Melburnians, because they can now find it in top little supermarkets and
providors across Melbourne for sure. And the other thing that sort of COVID has done, it made us launch an online platform with our main producer, Western Plains Pork, So we set up an online platform, porkfarmtoplate.com, so that we could deliver to people's doorstep charcuterie and fresh pork.
So in many ways, it's been a bonus for you because you've gone from a very sort of focused business to diversifying in all sorts of areas.
Yeah. I mean, look, what it pointed out very clearly was too many eggs were in one basket. I think that was made really clear with COVID. So yeah, it's made me reassess my business and know that I have to have multiple arms to how we make our product and also package our product to get it out to the consumer.
So what's new right now? What are you working on at the moment? What can we look forward to for
well,
Christmas?
I mean, Christmas is on us. It's right on, it's right on our doorstep. So our Christmas hams have been launched this week, along with a few boxes, packs that we're doing for the Christmas period. So we want to cover Victoria's tables with Salt Kitchen charcuterie and Western Plains pork this Christmas. That's what we're all about for the next 8 months, and yeah, we're going to be flat out. It's going to be good. Yep.
How do people find you if they want to order some of your food?
So porkfarmtoplate.com is that's our direct access, and if you jump on saltkitchen.com.au, our website, we've got a list of our stockists on there as well for right across Victoria.
Well, I know you're incredibly busy on this first day of food being served in restaurants in Melbourne. So I'll let you get back to it.
Thank you.
So that you can make sure everyone gets their ham.
For sure.
Thank you so much for your time, Mick, and best of luck.
Pleasure. Thanks, Wendy. Cheers.
That was Mick Nunn, the chef turned butcher behind Salt Kitchen Charcuterie. You've been watching Bread and Butter, live from Ballarat, thanks to our program partner, HungryHungry. I'd also like to thank Georgie and Simon Coughlin for hosting us here at the Provincial Hotel, along with Tickers Aaron Young and Jed Vitale for their hard work behind the scenes to make this live broadcast happen. Before I go, I'd also like to congratulate the winners of the Restaurant and Catering Association's Award for Excellence, Lifetime Achievement Award for Chin Chin's Chris Lucas, and Innovation Awards for Coders Adam De Silva and 360Q in Queenscliff, Barry Iddles. They've all been on the show and they're all amazing people in the hospitality industry. Big congrats also to Chef of the Year, Kar Nguyen from Sunder Dining. Now that's our show for this week. I'm Wendy Hargreaves, and I'll be back next week with more news from behind the scenes of the food and drink business. Until then, stay safe and eat well. you.